What's up, everybody? I just finished another book in the Shivers series. This is Terror on Troll Mountain. This is a book that I kind of wanted to read just for summertime. This book does have a sequel, and I figured I'd knock it out and then read the sequel later. I do have a bad habit of reading a book, and if I'm not a really big fan of it, not even trying to touch the sequel. I did like this one though, and now that I'm thinking about it, that's not even the case either, because I read Horror Hotel from the Ghost of Fear Street book series, and I really liked it, and I still haven't read the sequel. So yeah, I'm gonna reread the first one of those and then the sequel. So yeah, I guess I'm just not a really big fan of sequels, but I do want to try to finish the sequel to this. It's called Street Home Chicago. One of the more rare books in the series, and yeah, the story here it follows this kid named Paul Alberetti. Him, his uncle, and his dad. They are going to Italy to meet some of his family members and relatives and stuff. And he's in the back seat staring at his feet. His feet have grown so big that they like stick out of his shoes, and everybody kind of teases him about it. Paul mentions that he's kind of a huskier kind of guy. Um, he loves to eat and stuff like that, and he gets car sick easily. And I related to this guy a lot because I get car sick, and I guess it depends on who's driving and what kind of car. I have a lot of, I guess, sensitive uh, stuff that makes me nauseated. I was mentioning this yesterday. Um, I don't really love the smell of like the new car smell. That makes me sick. I know that's weird, but it does. So I kind of related to Paul here. He's going to Italy to stay with his relatives, and he wants to go exploring as soon as he gets there. They live in this little shack, like house cottage thing, and there's a village and there's this big old mountainside, and we learn a little bit about Italy here. I don't remember everything, but we learned that some of the workers and stuff they take a 3 hour lunch, which is amazing. That sounds really really fun. And yeah, he eventually gets out and he goes to explore. He crosses this bridge. He's in the mountains and he sees this cow. He follows this cow to this pasture and he feels like a hand reach over and grab him. It's like a big furry hand. He gets a good look at it, but he takes off running. He's scared. Somehow or another, he ends up with his shirt off, and so he comes in with his shirt off. He's got hair, mud in his hair, sticks. He's got scrapes all over him. Yeah, so it's kind of funny because this, he's just an American kid, and he's in this other place, and they're all just kind of looking at him. It's pretty funny. He mentions this at dinner time, and well, let me start with the dinner scene because this is actually really cool. Not sure exactly if this is how most Italians eat or not, but I'm all for it. They eat like a really big meal of like spaghetti. Spaghetti's just like an entree. They have like vegetables and meat and stuff like that, and then they top it off with like some really strong coffee. Dude, I love that. I can drink coffee all day. So, again, very relatable. Um, he mentions this to his grandpa or his grandmother and dad. His grandmother doesn't speak English; she only speaks Italian. And she starts talking about this thing called the orca, and his dad translates for her, and basically the orca is this troll that lives in the mountains that was like cursed or something, and everybody has their own interpretations of it. They say he's got like chicken feet, they got like 7 legs, 7 heads or something, like just different things like that. So I was very interested to see what this thing looked like. After this, he meets his cousin named Anthony, and Anthony just kind of explains to him that this is just like an urban legend, like it's just for kids to scare them. It's not real, whatever. The only thing that everybody is like consistent with is the fact that this troll, in order to get away from him, um, you give him a wedding ring, and of course the kids don't have a wedding ring; they're kids, and this goes into them talking about like they treat the um, kids more like adults over there. So whatever. Um, he eventually sneaks off again. They go exploring. Nothing much happens. It doesn't take. I mean, it takes a long time for anything else to happen with the troll. And yeah, so a lot of these Shivers books that I've read do tend to do that. Like it's just filler, and then something kind of scary happens at the end. And this one is the same case, but I will say that this wasn't boring. Like they just explore. I enjoyed like reading about the mountainside and stuff like that, going across these bridges and different things like that. It towards the end of the book, they go and they see the shack, and they do indeed run into something, and there's like a really scary scene where he helps Anthony get out of the shack because they hear somebody coming, and like the whole town starts shaking and stuff like that, like an earthquake. And yeah, so Anthony escapes through a window because Paul helps him up, and he stands on this wooden chair, and the chair breaks, and he's trapped inside. And this was absolutely like, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty scary because you're in this strange place and you're trapped, and yeah. So yeah, that's basically the gist of Terror on Troll Mountain. I did like when the orca finally does show up towards the last 10 pages of the book. But yeah, this really wasn't that bad. It wasn't like a great book. It wasn't amazing. I really don't recommend like you have to read this. But as far as Shivers standard goes, this wasn't bad. Like I mean, I wasn't bored with it. Well, I mean, there's times where I was kind of bored with it, but not like bored was like a struggle to read through. It was just like nothing was really happening. The pages are really short, so it's really easy to fly through. Even if they're boring, they're not super hard. Like the pages in these books, they're like, I don't know if I showed them off or not, but the paragraphs doesn't start until like half the like page. Like literally right here is where the actual words start. So you're missing like half a page. So this book is like 120 pages, but realistically, it's like almost half that because the pages aren't even full. The other, I know there's some that have like a chapter on one page and a chapter on the next page, and then they got these little gaps at the bottom of them, and there's another page where it'll be like a little bit of like three or four sentences at the top. So yeah, Terror on Troll Mountain. I didn't hate it. I really liked it. I didn't think it was like amazing. Did have some pacing issues, and we don't really see the troll until the end. But he is pretty intimidating. They say that he eats kids, and I thought that was pretty cool. Nothing too graphic. He carries this like big sack around with him, and Paul mentions that what if it's skulls that's inside there because they hear like rattling or something. But yeah, um, yeah, and that's basically it. They do go back to the shack because they end up losing a ring, and that's basically the reason to go back. The last, and I didn't think they'd go back because I thought it was like that was the end of the book, but no, it was a little bit more. Yeah, Terror on Troll Mountain, I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't think it was that bad. For Shivers, pretty good. Not a terrible book. If you want to read this one in part two, I do recommend reading this first. Obviously, but yeah, that's it for me. I don't really think there's anything else to say about this book. But yeah, so thank you. Bye bye.